Okay, so now health is a matter of balance. So if you think of life like a three-legged stool, in order for you to experience life in a state of happiness or well-being, it's very, very important that you realize that Dr. Movement, Dr. Diet, and Dr. Quiet, which is the chief physician in charge of your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, they all have to be balanced, and they all have to be stable, and they all have to be present, or the stool is going to fall over. And if you fall off a bar stool, you're probably going to put a dent in your happiness. Now, in my book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, I took this concept, which is very important because it gives me an individualized readout. This is what's called a functional health assessment. Most people wait till they're in pain to go to a hospital or to go to a doctor to get diagnostic tests run. They wait till something's really wrong. What this allows me to do is to identify the symptoms of a functional pathology. So what are some of the indicators, for example, that your adrenal glands are exhausted that I can identify, and I don't have to wait till you've got Addison's disease to say, well, geez, you burnt your adrenal glands out. Congratulations. Now you're going to have to be on hormonal supplements for the rest of your life. We don't want people waiting till they're a type 2 diabetic to find out that they didn't know how to manage blood sugar. That's backwards, right? So what I did in my book is I actually designed the book. So I put together a series of questionnaires that identify what's the quality of the food you're eating, how much stress do you have in your life, how are you doing with your sleep-wake cycles, how frequently are you eating or are you skipping meals, how's your digestion, how toxic are you, and what's the total stress in your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. You see, what most people don't realize is the body summates stress. So your body doesn't differentiate between going through a divorce, exercising incorrectly, and having financial trouble and having a bacterial dysbiosis. It adds those things all up, and your total stress picture is the sum of all stress inputs in your life. So before I can write an exercise program for anybody or prescribe any kind of an exercise program or even write a book with exercises in it, I have to have a way to help you, the individual, identify what your total stress levels are. If you don't know your total stress level, I don't know any way that I can safely prescribe an exercise for you. Because there's two kinds of exercises. Workout exercises, and that's what most people that are trying to change their body shape are doing. They think they got to work out. The word work out literally means, work means to expend energy, and out means out there. So when you go to the gym to work out, you take your vital resources, convert it to energy, and spend it by moving objects. Now on the farm, I used to dig fence post holes, mend fences, clean barns, move hay bales. That was my dad's idea of a workout, okay? So at the end of the day, if you had enough energy to lift weights, you better not tell anybody, okay? Keep that a secret. Because if you have enough energy to lift weights on my dad's farm, it means you aren't working hard enough, right? But the reality of it is, today, most people that are going to work out don't have enough energy to even run their biological systems. Their bodies are collapsing. So the other kind of exercise is working in. So in my book, you'll see up here, I've got zones, zone 1, 2, and 3, zone 4, zone 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, and 4. Those zones all correlate to different biological systems, and depending on how you score, I determine whether you need to be working in, doing exercises that accumulate more energy by doing them than they spend. So if you do Tai Chi correctly, you should finish with more energy than when you started. If you do yoga correctly, you should finish with more energy than when you started. If you do Qigong correctly, you should finish with more energy than when you started. You should leave the session with a surplus. If you go to the gym and work out, you will never have more energy than when you started. Otherwise, you're not working out. You're just making friends in the gym, okay? You're not working out. So your total score determines the type of exercise program you get. And my book has exercise programs for 4 different levels of vitality. So the more stressed you are, the easier the program. And it gets so easy, you got Paul Chek's no workout workout. And that's as easy as you can get, okay? No workout. The no workout workout is you park your car at the end of the parking lot and you walk. You don't use escalators and elevators, you take the stairs. And if that's all I can get you to do while you're rounding up good food, that's probably enough for you. Because for some people, that's a lot of exercise. I'll never forget when my institute was in Encinitas, I was working with a client and I heard this huffing and puffing and moaning, and strangely enough, above us was a place that sold porno videos. And you had to go up a set of stairs to get to this porno video office. And I heard all this huffing and puffing, and it sounded way too live to be a video. So I thought, what in the world is going on? Maybe they're shooting a porno video on the stairs outside my gym here. So I walked out the door and looked, and there was this lady who was very obese. She had just rented some porno videos, and she got so tired walking down one flight of stairs, she had to sit down, and I thought she was going to have a heart attack. She was exhausted, she was sweating, and she'd only made it down 6 steps. It took her, she had to do one flight of stairs in 3 sets. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of person that does not need and should not have a workout program because it'll kill them. Okay, but a lot of people don't understand these basic principles. I also designed that so that it's very, very simple, because most of the people that read this book, even as healthy as some of you are, you'd probably score high, a lot of you, in at least 3 of those columns. And a lot of people get overwhelmed. They go, oh my God, what am I going to do? I actually designed the book so you don't even have to read the book. You just read the chapters that you score high in. And I designed the questionnaire so you start from the left. So if you score high on every one of them, the first thing you do is you get your food quality up. That's first thing, priority number 1. Don't worry about any of that stuff, because everything to the left is almost always a symptom of the furthest column on the right. So once you start eating high quality, free range and organic foods, 3 months later, half of these problems are gone, sometimes all of them. Right? So, but what do people do? They go to the doctor, they get all these tests run, and they find out that they're screwed up, they're gonna die, they got this, they got that, and then what? Take more drugs? That's more stress. Drugs are stressful to the body, period. Drugs aren't food. Sick people can't handle drugs. That's a bit of a paradox, isn't it? So I designed the system so it's very easy to follow. And if you're too tired to read the chapter, now a lot of my patients are. I've had patients call me on the phone after they got my paperwork and they say, you know what, I can't even fill this paperwork out. I just don't have the concentration to do this. People are on the phone crying, saying, I can't fill this paperwork out. It's just, it'll take me a month to fill this paperwork out. So, fine. In my book, you can read the mind map. I put a mind map, an artistic rendering of what's in the chapter, so you can just look at the pictures. And it's all on one page. You can read my whole book in 1 hour just by, so if you can read a comic book, you can read that book. And what I'm going to tell you tonight is nothing you don't know. Isn't that stupid?